especially if you're just doing the same thing over and over again, there's no requirement that you get stuck in a negative creation cycle unless you choose to allow it and refuse to uh, look at the learning opportunities that that experience is there designed to provide. So it's up to us how aware we want to be, and we'll wake up whenever we decide it's time to. That's all.
That's true. One thing I could say about that is it took me a bit to be really, really sickened by doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over for so many years, or thinking the same way, or
Well, that's the
and
first step.
that was
Fantastic.
that was the first step, and now I'm on fire. That's all there is
Yeah,
to it.
As soon as
And
you get sick
it
of
just
being sick and tired, that's the best.
yeah,
that is,
you just got to give yourself permission to move and graduate to the next level. That's all. It's always up to you. It's just a matter of choosing and deciding to choose differently as
yeah,
you give yourself permission to experience new things and to grow and learn. That's what we're here for.
yeah, I
So it's
completely get that. And yes, it's been like I'm open to understanding as much as possible, and it's just
mhm.
coming and flowing in. So, yeah, no complaint at all. Thank you
Good.
for asking.
Uh,
Hi, Stephanie.
Hey, babe. Good morning, everyone.
Phenomenal. Hi, Steph. I have a new inspiration for our meditation today. I can't wait to share it with you guys.
Yay! You're doing so good with them. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Really has been helpful, and having people coach me and help me figure it out. This morning, I woke up with the thought of musical notes in reference to our chakras, and realized 7 chakras, 7 notes in a standard clef. And when I went and did some research, I found out that it goes all the way through 8. First time I've ever seen this, but
Mm-hmm. Just like
the
the
8
sound bowls.
right above the crown is high C, where your soul is. Above your head, outside of your body. Oh my God. I was blown away at about 4 a.m. this morning
Oh
when I was
my
reading
God,
this.
Lee, I have to do a sound bath on you then, because
I
you'll be
I
able
am
to feel that so much
in.
so when you're in a sound bath.
Oh my God, I'm in. I would love. I've got at least have my piano ready, and I'm ready to play where I need to play. So, everybody ready?
Yeah.
I am essential to the plan of God for the salvation of the world. Today, workbook lesson
Yeah, wait for
115.
me. I'm coming.
I'll wait for you. No problem, darling.
No, you can start. I'm going downstairs. Thank you.
No problem. I'll get your coffee ready for you next. I made it a little strong this morning. You may want to spot. I was supposed to be upstairs. Really? Yeah, because that's where the shower is. Oh, all right, everybody. Okay. Here we go. I'm essential for the plan of God for the salvation of the world. Today, like our other past days, we're going through reviews, and today summarizes lessons 99 and 100. 99 is salvation is my only function here. And 100 is my part is essential to God's plan for salvation. Salvation is my only function here in time. My function here in time, right now, is to forgive the world for all the errors I have made with my split mind. For thus I am released from all errors I made along with all the world. My part is essential to God's plan for salvation, and I am essential to the plan of God for the salvation of the world. For God gave me his plan that I might save the world. It's short and sweet this morning. So, on the hour, at the top of every hour, we're coming up to it. Salvation is my only function here. On the half at the bottom of the hour. My part is essential to God's plan for salvation. Today, I'm going to go back and I'm going to read the notes from lesson 100 to give us a little bit of time to get in our space for meditation. Take this nice and deep. It's a great day today, guys. My part is essential to God's plan for salvation. Just as God's Son completes his Father, so your part in God's plan for salvation completes your Father's plan. Salvation must reverse the mad belief in separate thoughts and separate bodies, which lead separate lives and go their separate ways. One function, shared by separate minds, unites them in one purpose. For each one of the mad beliefs, the separate thoughts and separate bodies, is equally essential to all beliefs in separation. God's will for you is perfect happiness. Why should you choose to go against God's will when God's will for you is perfect happiness? The part of God that has saved for you, the part that God has saved for you to take in working out God's plan is given you that you might be restored to what God wills, which is your perfect happiness.
Lee,
What I missed there, Tom?
did you intend to read the lesson or did you intend to read the
Nope.
notes? Because you're reading the lesson.
You're right, Tom. Thank you. When I hit the spot in the index, it went straight to the lesson, and I had been bookmarking uh, before I read, and this morning I didn't. So thank you so much. Yes, yes, I can. I need to do that too. I forgot all about the moderators. Thank you. There we go. It's another hour. We're okay. We're okay. My part actually being, you're right, it is pretty close. Don't you guys make sure you get some socks on? Grace, do you have all your stuff ready? We're going to have to leave in about 5 or 10 minutes. Okay. Actually, I guess because of that, why don't we jump into the meditation? I apologize for kind of rushing through, but I moved about 25 minutes away from Grace's school, so we have to make sure we get on the road early. Today, let's become connected with the earth beneath us. Down at the bottom, where we're connected to the floor, we're seated in a chair. The base of our spine, our first root chakra, where that's connected down to earth. That's the part that takes care of our physical needs. Moving up from there to your abdomen, solar plexus. Let your belly expand so you can take in a nice deep breath today. Bring all the oxygen into your lungs and hold that breath for a moment while your body transforms that air and pulls the oxygen out. In your heart, right in the middle, as you're breathing, that's your fourth chakra, the middle one in your body. The heart is the center of love, what we're here to provide for the world. Still moving up into blue, throat chakra, up into your eyes, where your brow is, your third eye. We get into the darkest purples as we reach the crown and head right above your head. If you're standing above your head and you're looking down through all of those different colors, you'll see white light floating above you, encasing you. You're a spirit, bigger than your body, bringing you into alignment with the Holy Spirit so we can do our jobs today. Bring peace to the world, bring peace to ourselves. Today, my part is essential to God's plan for salvation. Salvation is my only function here, because my function here is to forgive the world for all the errors that I made. For thus I am released from them with all the world. My part is essential to God's plan. We're all key parts. Say to yourself today, I am essential to the plan of God for the salvation of the world. He gave me his plan that I might save the world. So today, let's take this message to heart, because salvation is my only function here, and your part is essential to God's plan for salvation. Every single one of us. Take the time today to set a reminder. These are the thoughts that will help you out of any situation find the answer you need so that you can get that guidance from the Holy Spirit. I know there's a lot more to be said, and I'm going to be listening. I hope you all have a magnificent day. Thank you so much for joining me for this short reading. I think everybody already has what they need. So I'm really glad for my little part to play. And I hope you have a wonderful day.
Wowza, wowza, blown away once again. And what I would have called synchronicities before today, now I just know it's in the flow. That's all it is. It's in the flow.
I love that, Andy. Let's flow.
If you would like, uh, I could read you the notes that were of this lesson. There's actually two, and I don't know if you guys remember or not, but the first one talked about the dreaming, someone dreaming that uh, they bit a mailman, and uh, in the dream, they bit this mailman, and the question in reference to that was this idea: if I dream that I bit a mailman, do I need, whenever I wake up from the dream, do I need to ask forgiveness from that mailman because I dreamed that I bit him? And the answer in this case was, well, no, because it was just a dream, which is what the Course in Miracles is really saying, that our current dimension of time and space is just a dream from the standpoint that it has no ability to impact the truth, that our true DNA is that we are part of the oneness of all that is perfect, whole, and complete, and that it's just our refusal to realize that truth that creates the problem. The second note actually talked a little bit about the idea that my part is essential to God's plan for salvation, and it gave us a reference of the prodigal son and talked a little bit about that biblical story. And I don't know if would like to read it or not, but it's an important story. It's referenced often in the Bible, and it really is a metaphor of our current situation. In the story of the prodigal son, what we saw was that uh, a, we'll say a wealthy father that seemed to have everything had a couple of sons, and he'd like to bestow all his treasure on the sons. And the sons obviously had a pretty good life because they had everybody to take care of them, and everything was going pretty good for the sons. But one of the sons decided that actually he wanted not to wait until his father picked the bucket so that he could get all of his inheritance. He wanted it now. So he asked his father, uh, Dad, can you cough it up to me now? You know, because I'd like to be able to have the freedom to do whatever I want. And I don't really want to necessarily wait around because, and perhaps it was this, because I just want to have fun now. And I also don't want to feel like, hey, I could get disinherited. It doesn't really say that, but it says, you know, I really wanted the wine, women, and song right now. So why don't you give me, if you really loved me, you'd give it to me now. I wouldn't have to wait for anything. I'd have the freedom to do whatever I want with that inheritance. So the father uh, wanted to see his son happy. He always enjoyed bestowing everything that was his to the child, to his son. And so he didn't have any problem. He says, well, no problem, son. If you want all your inheritance now, I'll gladly give it to you. What I want is for you to be happy. And if you think that by having the freedom to spend your inheritance any way you want, now I'll give it to you. That's no problem. So he coughed the money over and said, you know, son, do whatever you want. And the son left. And he went and he quickly went through all the things that he thought would make him happy. And he quickly spent his inheritance on various things, who knows, gambling, wine, women, song, whatever you want to say. But he spent his inheritance. And the son now all of a sudden realized that uh, he didn't have the wealth that he had envisioned. He had blown it all. And so what he really uh, had to do is he had to go and work for a living. He had to experience some difficulties. And after going through that for a period of time, he realized, you know, um, boy, this is rough. You know, this whole idea of being separate from my father and not having all the gifts that he was bestowing on me, that's become kind of a problem. I went through my inheritance, and of course, he thought the inheritance was limited. And he says, you know, if I could get back, maybe if I could get back, not necessarily in my father's good graces, but if I could go back to his house, I would enjoy a better lifestyle, even if I was his servant, if I was cleaning the streets or whatever, any job he gave me. His servants had a better lifestyle than I did, as the trying to struggle in this world of time and space, or in the world of adventure. So the son went back expecting that his father would probably berate him, judge him, call him foolish, and perhaps if the son was lucky, his father might give him a job so that he could have some substance to his life. He could at least have some bare bones existence and survive. Well, whenever he got back, his father saw him coming and he ordered a great feast be made in his honor of the son's return. And his son was kind of overwhelmed with this idea that his father was so had never judged him, always had wanted him to be happy, and that his father's happiness had been, I'll say, restored or was elevated because now he had his son to shower all his gifts to. And as the story goes, it says that he, the father, uh, restored the son and returned all his inheritance back to him. And the son finally realized that his and his father basically was telling the son that the treasure, you were my treasure, son. You made me complete. And the law of God is to give is to receive. And actually, by me being able to give you, shower you with all these gifts, even though I didn't ask anything in return, which was unconditional love, that was a source of my happiness. Me being able to love you unconditionally, give you everything that you wanted. And we have to realize that we're God's prodigal son, that we have entered time and space saying we want our inheritance, otherwise, we want to have all the gifts bestowed, and our divine inheritance, being one with God, is that we're perfect, whole, and complete, and that we have the free will to do whatever we want. And we wanted the adventure to actually be and demonstrate giving, not just receiving like we had it before, being the receipt of all those gifts. We wanted to do something and have that personal experience of being helpful or whatever. So we wanted the personal experiences in time and space. We could only do that when we were given the freedom to make decisions for ourselves and to demonstrate those things. We can only do it in the world of separation. So the prodigal son is really a story of our own journey. And all that we have to do, just like the prodigal son in time and space, realize that all that we really want is the acceptance of God's love. We don't have to do anything. We are God's treasure. And that's what God, whatever you want to call it, the higher universe, he, she, it wants, is just to be able to give us everything we want, because that's what love is. And free will, as the Course says, is the ability not to change the curriculum or write the curriculum, but to decide what part of the curriculum we wish to take at any given time. And the function or purpose in in time and space is for us to realize that we're part of that oneness and that we don't have to do anything. We just have to reclaim our divine inheritance and realize that we are God's treasure, and that's all we have to do, and just accept it. It's really a great story. The interest that I'd like to maybe ask if we wanted to have some discussion. You know, I always wondered about, there was two sons, and the second son, uh, how he felt. He had supposedly, uh, and this is again a metaphor on life. The second son had seen his brother get half the inheritance, waste it, or make choices. It's not wasting, make choices. And yet he got to enjoy the treasure. And then whenever he came back after he spent it all, he got his birthright replaced or given back to him. And the question that I have is, what do you think that second son thought? And did he believe that he had to make some type of sacrifice because he lost part of his inheritance because of his brother's action? And you think he was right to perhaps feel indignant and maybe not forgive or hold a grievance against his brother, which is kind of what we do when we think somebody has taken from us what we should have got our share. And what do you think about that? So I'll throw that open.
I knew that Andy was going to open that mic.
I beat you, Adriana.
I knew that you were going to speak, my friend. Go ahead.
Mine will be very quick. Let me tell you, I think what for me, I've lived vicariously as well as through my own experience, and that's what I think maybe the brother did. And um, it's amazing, isn't it wonderful to know that we still have everything, and we only gained. We only really gained. We gained growth. We gained understanding and knowledge, and that's it.
So I take it you're saying that the second son uh, perhaps even gained the knowledge from his brother that he was being loved unconditionally, and that's how his father would treat him, or that uh, there's an unlimited amount of wealth, and that we're all part of that oneness, I guess, because a lot of people, especially whenever we look at form, and this is something that makes it a little more difficult, because we believe that the form is what we value as opposed to the content being why I give you that gift or why you value that gift is because it's a sign of love, it's a sign of appreciation, and that the form in time and space form can't be shared. I mean, if I had a sandwich and I gave you half, between the two of us, we still have one whole sandwich until we consume it, I guess. But we haven't been diminished. But if we look at ourselves as separate, you've gained a half a sandwich and I have a half less. And that's what the law of God is to give is to receive. And in regards to that, when I give you that half of a sandwich, actually, if we look at the exchange of energy, actually, I get a burst of energy because I am living authentically with my values. And so, on a cosmic or energy level, even though there's been an exchange in form, I've been blessed by the ability to give that. So, even though form it looks like I'm diminished or there's sacrifice, there is no real sacrifice. There's that benefit, that you could say burst of energy, that joy, that happiness of being able to share. And in this case, it may or may not come from abundance, but it really, we can only give what we have, and it's realizing that we have that and we want to share. So but I'll shut up again.
No, don't
Thank you,
shut up
Don.
because, yeah, we have all been enjoying all of your books, writing. So you are super welcome to speak whatever you want. And I love to hear your voice. Even if you are not in my mountain, I'm seeing the mountain alone. Where are you?
Well, I didn't plug in my phone, so I had to keep it charged up.
Okay. So I was going to say that I have maybe an example of this in a practical level. I live in abundant. I live an abundant life with my ex-husband. I had a beautiful house, all the uh, comfort that I could have experienced in life in my adult life. I have experienced it with my relationship with him, but yet still I quit all of that. I left my life by his side um, because I really, not because I didn't want to have those comforts in my life or those benefits or whatever. It's because for me that wealth doesn't come from the level of the form, comes from the heart. And we were not having a good relationship. So everything that I have around me felt like a golden cage. So for me, in order for me to really move forward with my life in a peaceful way, I had to surrender everything, everything. I had to say, because every time that I asked for the divorce, he didn't want to have the divorce. And he didn't want to have any responsibility with anything that has to do with me, even if it was even if it was to have Vera with her mom in a place nearby him or whatever. He didn't want to have that. And he expressed it in so many ways, painful ways, scary ways. So I couldn't figure any other way around it. And when I found the Course in Miracles, and the Course in Miracles, of course, changed my mind so deeply, I could clearly see that if I surrender all of the attachments, I could obviously create a new whole world for myself, and I will not be in lackness. Not because things outside of me will provide me that sense of being complete, it's because there's no lackness. So I didn't have to get attached to anything that I had in that life with him, because simply those things can be redo. I mean, I can rebuild my life in a way that I can experience the sense of wealth again, because I have done it in the past. So in the analogy of the prodigal son, maybe this is a reverse way to do it, meaning that the level of the form is not the wealth, but the inner peace that you can have. So for me, that story, that parable, reminds me of how good it feels to surrender your attachments. And what has happened with me taking that decision is that Kurt is now in such a vulnerable place that he is really changing his mind. He already bought the book again. I mean, I have given the book to him in the past, and he gave it back to me, and now he's getting help for his mind. He bought the book. He's crying, and he's letting all the feelings flow, and he recognizes that he has been mistaken. Yesterday, he told me that he has been mistaken all the way at that he is understanding that he needs to be a better man, that he never thought he needed to change, and that he is now feeling his heart. And well, all of those things for me are really peace. So when I surrender everything in the level of the form, was like coming back home. like the story of the the prodigal son. I was back home because I said, well, I'm not going to have a fight over these toys. For me, I could clearly see with A Course in Miracles that all the level of the form was my toys, my ego toys. So I said, well, I just want to live a life in love, in peace, and I know that the separation idea is just an idea, and I'm going to explore my life in a different way because I need to really practice these concepts that had already started to bring peace in my mind. And in that way, the person that was the object of all my conflicts, that was my ex-husband, is changing too. He's coming back home again. He is taking more time because maybe he was more built up in walls of the ego, but I can clearly see that he is returning home and he's making progress on it. He is excusing himself or saying sorry, things that he never said to me before, and he's accepting that I have this new life and that we have to work together in order to have Vera in the best position of between us, because we can never be apart. The separation, I mean, I divorced, but I will never be apart. I can never be apart. So it's a really, really beautiful way of have this kind of analogy because it's like that son in the story. Like he surrendered the idea that he needed things because when everything ran out, he understood that he just needed to be willing and to accept things no matter what and feel supported by the love. That in that sense it was his father, but the father of all there is, it's God, it's all the energies that sustains everything. And that energy can be whatever we want. We were yesterday talking about the water in a bowl, because we are not the bowl. We are just using a bowl to have a little bit of experience with that water that is among everything and between everything and inside everything. I know that a younger brother, because I am a younger sister. My sister is the elder, and I know that my sister had that kind of. When we were younger, she had this kind of personality that was a little bit annoying for my mom and me, in terms of how she was so sure that the world needs to serve her in some way. And my mom always said, like, that is because she was my first child, so she had all the attention from us. And when she complained about her being like too, I don't know how to say in English, when a kid expects that the world turns around him and everything that he or she asks has to be done, right? And my sister had those kind of things, and then my sister had to experience her own life, her own challenges, hard challenges, and now she's in a position where she is the one who is by my mom's side, not like taking care of her in an economical way maybe, but being there close to her. It's like the prodigal son. She had to experience a lot of the story of this parable in order to come back with my mom in such a loving way that I thought I will not be able to see. And what happened with me as a younger sister is that I had the experience of not get attached to anything, because everything that I had was what my sister left. So in that sense, it helped me to have the experience that I have today, to not get attached to the things, because the things are only things and they provide something, but there are different solutions to provide one's needs. So I guess that a younger brother in that sense, can have that kind of perspective, being a witness of being a witness of how can the ego put us in such a difficult journeys that we can, of course, make ourselves a different story. So I don't know if all the younger brothers or sisters can have the same kind of perspective, but for me, it was like I was a witness of that. And so I made my life different, and I had to surrender to all the level of the form in order to come back home. But my home in this moment now is the word of Jesus, the word of God, the peace of mind, and that includes everything. Includes the idea that I have never been a part of my mom, of my sister, my daughter, my ex-husband, I have never been a part. So that's why we are all so essential in God's plan for salvation, because no matter if you're in the perspective of the older or the bigger brother or the younger brother, we are all going to find a way in some form, because we are all coming from that same place. Salvation is my only function here, and my part is essential to God's plan for salvation in that
Yeah.
sense.
If you look in time and space, actually, we get to play both roles. We get to play the role of the prodigal son, who now just has to return and accept the love of the father, the his father, and realize that we are God's treasure. But we also get to play the role of the second son, the one that stayed home, was maybe a goody two shoes, maybe even believed that he had to do certain things in order to earn his inheritance. Who knows what his mindset was, but we're there with the idea now that we're actors in time and space, and we see other people playing their parts. And how do we view them? Do we enter into judgment, or do we value our brothers and sisters for the uh, learning opportunities that they provide us? For do we value them because we're part of that oneness, and that we can demonstrate our love towards them, and we can, share those experiences, those loving experiences, being helpful or whatever? Or do we slip into judgment, get hooked up with the story, believe that somehow there's limits, that we have, that we are the body is us, and we have to struggle for the limited resources that we need to survive? Or do we realize that we're a spirit, that we're essence, that we're part of that one self, and that to give is to receive, and that abundance is unlimited, and therefore there is no lack, and that when we give, we actually receive? So it's the question that I always had. I knew what the story was for the prodigal son and God, that we were God's treasure. But I always wondered about that second son, because I kind of felt that he got screwed. And it's the realization that actually that brother returning back, uh, and if the second son valued his brother, uh, and had a loving relationship, he too would have uh, appreciated that and celebrated, as opposed to slip into judgment, hold grievances, and feel that he had sacrificed, because the brother did not, in this case, if he slipped into judgment, didn't realize what he truly was and what was something of value. Thank you again.
I love that what you said. Yeah, and yes, we are all get to play the different roles in different stages in our lives. And yes, who knows? I mean, there's some younger brothers that feel really, really uh, attacked or I don't know, taken away from things from the bigger brothers. But it's part of all the dualistic way of coming back, because one has to. It's like the things that we were talking yesterday. I guess it was. I mean, the no and the yes is part of the same coin. So a no with love can be a yes. And in order for you to accept things in life, there's some things that you have to say no, of course. So for the younger brother experience, for example, in my own experience when I was younger, I really was in some parts of my life I was really like mad because I always had to have what my sister left. I mean, the shoes, the clothes, the school, the school things that she used. I had to use them all 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 over again. So I felt like I never had the chance to get new things for myself. Uh, but that was when I was really little, when I was growing up and saw my sister behavior towards my mom and towards things and conflicts, that I saw myself so lucky. I mean, I felt grateful that I never was the one to have new things around, or I mean, having that experience with things, I was really blessed because I didn't have attachment. So I never saw conflicts that my sister felt uh, in the things that she couldn't have. I never saw conflict when I couldn't have anything that I wanted because I didn't have that attachment. So in some point of my life, I felt blessed. And when she really changed her mind and started to see that she was really having conflicts in her life, that she made it herself, and she was the one who was pulling us apart from her life instead of us being apart from her life. When she really changed her mind, we get to experience the 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 love in her, that it's beautiful. I mean, the way she expressed love is different that the one that we express, my mom and I. So it's beautiful when somebody realizes that all the conflicts are coming from a perspective that has been like upside down, and when they put it in order, the behavior starts to change and we get to experience the true self that they are. And it's beautiful because it is it's another color of the rainbow. So I don't know. It's beautiful to have this kind
Thank you,
of
Yana.
discussion. Thank you.
I want to say something here. One of the oldest statements, and I think it was West Indians here, who said, "You have to walk a mile in my shoes to understand me." And I think that, of course, that's a brilliant statement. However, in order to figure out our lives, we really can't walk a mile in everyone's shoes. So, what does that mean? That that's not brought up in that particular thing because it's about two people, one trying to understand another individual. But the idea of thinking of the absurdity of you're going to have to walk in everybody's shoes to be able to understand the world. Um, we don't have to do that either. Obviously, we can't anyway. But what is it that we're trying to determine here? If we're the second son, as Tom brought up, there are a lot of ways to say that he had as much value in his life from the situation as the prodigal son had in his running around, and he learned lessons. And the second son had lessons to learn too, and he hasn't quite learned enough lessons, the second son, to be comfortable right now with the way things are turning out. The first son, of course, is very happy. And there's all kinds of questions that could come up if we try to evaluate or consider what each of these are would be thinking. At first, the second one might be very jealous, whereas this the second one might be very jealous that the first one returned, but he doesn't have a right to feel that jealousy if he examines the full truth. So he's going to have to change his thinking. And everybody still ends up the way it was supposed to be. And it's kind of hard to say, it should have been this, it should have been that. Life doesn't work that way. It only works in one way going forward. So we look at what we have, we look where we are, we check out our emotions, how we feel towards other people, most of which, if not all, well, actually all in one sense, but they're not just due to everybody else doing this or that or whatever they did. It's what's going on inside us that we have to make an adjustment if we want to truly be happy. So the second son still has it pretty good, and he could be happy if he understood and accepted the full picture. So acceptance becomes important. Those are the things that we talk about when we think about what value do we get from this or that or the other. When you look at the whole picture, I think the primary purpose of the picture is to help those guys, like some of us in this room, who had to go out there and have a wild life, and because everything here just wasn't suitable for their greatness or whatever, and they had to go through the experiences and get knocked down a few pegs. So we all come to a point of acceptance to the present moment of what we have here. Adriana, it's really amusing sometimes when you say whether you felt apart, and another time you say part. And it's very difficult in English. We have to remember that when we are a part of something, it's one thing. When we are apart from something, it's the opposite. So it's really important to add that when we're talking. If it's written, there's usually a comma or something that helps. And the spelling of the word apart means away from. It's spelled APART, it's one word. But the other meaning that we get is when it's two words, I am a part of. So if we're reading it, it's not difficult. If we're saying it, we have to kind of help clarify that because it's such an important part of your your message. So I'm just mentioning that. Um, I think
Thank God I have someone to translate my lousy
I know
English.
you have given me permission. You have given me permission to help you, and it's
Yes.
a pleasure to do that. I spent a year in Vietnam teaching English. And it's not English from scratch. It's English after they have basically understood enough to be able to converse meaningfully. Um, my daughter Linda doesn't speak perfectly by any means, whatever perfectly is. Um, it's just we're all trying for more clarity in what we're saying. So it's good to think about that. But anyway, this topic, of course, as usual, is a wonderful topic, and I'm sure other people have some opinions about it too. So maybe we can bring some people up from the bottom.
That second son, there's observational learning and experiential learning where you do it personally. And the second son was given the opportunity, if he chose to take it as a learning experience rather than slip into judgment, he could realize that he, like his brother, was God's treasure and that he didn't have to go through all that suffering that his brother went through to wake up to that realization. So and if the second son chose to become embittered, that's again a learning lesson for that second son because now he thinks that perhaps he's not as treasured as the first son, and therefore he has decided to judge. And whenever you judge, that means you start holding a grievance against the brother and you disempower yourself. So, if he wanted to hold his brother in prison for his actions and look at that as a thing that his brother needed his forgiveness, he himself puts himself in prison because he fails to realize that he, like his brother, is God's treasure and his birthright is unlimited. So, we can learn things the hard way, or we can, whenever we talk about walking, 10 miles in an Indian's moccasins, to know who they are. Um, we don't have to choose to go through all those experiences of suffering if we don't want to. But if we want to judge and on those things, we'll keep I'll use the term energy circuits plugged into that, and we disempower ourselves and we lose our inner peace whenever we judge someone as uh, does not coming up to our high standards. Uh, thank you.
Thank you, Tom, and thank you both for everything. Well, it's 7:30. I know that it's Monday and everybody has to start the week. Uh, we have talked about these two, um, yeah, these two lessons. Salvation is my only function here. My part is essential to God's plan for salvation. Um, so if anybody wants to share something, you can raise your hands. I already had sent invites to come up, but I guess that if we are at this time, uh, like jumping between the three of us with no more participations, we can also close the room at this time. I don't know, Bob, if you agree or no, but I'm just giving the opportunity to anybody down below to raise your hands. If not, to start our Monday with this commentaries already complete. Liz now with Grace and Dean taking them to the school. I have the control of the plane now. I hope you all have a beautiful week and that
Have a
this
wonderful day,
Monday,
everybody.
yeah, and that this day is full of peace, light, and love.
Well, I do have one more thing to say. Tamara, I know you're down. We shouldn't say down there or something. It's kind of like they're in the cellar or something. We have to come up with a better, maybe just the hallway or audience or something. Yeah, audience, from audience to stage. But Tamara, I really like your new picture. The other one,
Me
the,
too.
the one you have been using has been, it was telling me a different story about you, and this is really just a lovely picture and very pleasant, happy, and unless you have just changed radically and therefore are using this picture, I don't know, but it's okay. Doesn't matter. I love the new picture, and thanks for bringing it up. And I don't really have anything else to add to what we've already said. I think we've got this story pretty well figured out, and each person knows what it means to them. And there isn't much more to say on that. It's all good. So I'm ready to move on. Thank you very much, everybody, for being here.
Bye, everybody. I just I was hoping to hear more birds, but only one was deciding to speak or whatever. Enjoy your day.
You too, my friend. Beautiful birds. Thank you for sharing those with us.
Thank you for your sense of humor, Adriana. It's fun. It's
Well,
very fun.
well, I'm here to amuse you with my English. My English is really hilarious.
No, I'm talking about,
I
just,
know, my
yeah, you
friend.
just laugh at everything, and I love that. It's like, it's great. It's great
Yeah,
to play with you.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
It's a
What
it's a
else
really
can we
fun
do?
sandbox.
Yeah, we made all these toys.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what? That's a really good point. It's a lot more fun to be around with people who like to play, and that comes right back to, you can get really heavy into this about, if we're judging everybody, who wants to play with people that we're judging all the time? And the answer is we don't, and we don't. We become almost antisocial because we're judging everybody. And when when you don't have enough in front of you of different types of possible events, you can just languish and really not make very much progress in learning about yourself or about accepting other people. It's much better to get into the game and play than sit around as a bystander. And I know I have spent a lot of time doing that, observing people. And of course, if you're observing people, you have to be judging them. I'm not merciless like the typical crowd in a baseball game, throw the umpire out and all that kind of stuff. But I think in many ways we do go through life in certain aspects, and we have to we have to go forward. So I have left two different jobs because the people there were not to my liking. Well, that says I'm judgmental. And that would be almost correct, except I was very aware in both cases, this is not really going to contribute, from my perspective, to the path that I want to be walking on. And they're caustic, and they're not pleasant for me to be around. And so I could try and say it's all me, but that's not always the truth here. There are times when we just have to move on because the way things are set up just ain't working. On the other hand, if we don't have that option, it's very good to try and accept as much as possible. So all of these things have a lot to do with present circumstances. Certainly, I am now branching off into wild blue yonder kind of possibilities, and knowing that I have God at my back and watching what I'm doing, guiding me, helping me with my little steps for sure. Um, but ultimately, I have to make some big steps, as you have just done, Adriana. You have to make that decision yourself. And if you can, like, it's kind of like these surveys, yes or no on this, yes or no on that, or they give you a range of from bad to good with about three steps in between. I at least try to do that kind of thing instead of yes or no. And yes or no leaves out a lot of considerations. And the other way is maybe too much. So we just go from day to day. We adjust as we go along. And I just feel thankful that I am the Son of God, a Son of God. And if there are others, that's just fine. We can share. That's the way I see it. So that's about all I have to say for today. So I'm going to say thank you for all being here again, and I'm going to be leaving soon. Thank you. Bye.
I'd like to say one thing after you, Bob. Oh, it's a little bit more than one thing, but one short message about what you just said.
Well, if it's you, I'll wait.
Thank you. Well, the thing is, you know how I've been. I've decided not to behave anymore. I have to clarify something about that. My behaving that I had learned to do when I was being conditioned was to act a way that somebody else wanted me to. And now I've decided to not behave that way anymore, which means I am just behaving my way and trusting myself that if I need correction, it will happen when I need it. And it's all okay. Like, I will just react and be part of I love uh, this whole thing because we're all part of it and we're all growing. And this prodigal child could not ever make a mistake, really, that was going to cause any, any harm. It was only going to, at some point, be corrected, and that's all there is to it. We're just going to be corrected when we need to be corrected. We will correct it, and that's what's going to happen. It's still our our journey, our way, but it's also helping others all the time. So we don't have to, you know. It took all that load off. Boy, did it ever! It took all the guilt and the shame and the frustration and the I have to be this way, I have to act that way. I think it's just the whole kit and caboodle. It's just been every aspect of, of this whole, I don't know. And the thing is, I trust, it's about trusting myself that when there is a correction that has to be made, it will. And I will make it probably. I mean, I'm probably the one that's making the mistakes, or I'm the one that's going to correct it. And that's part of trusting myself. That whole trust thing is so like relevant to just, and you know what? It's free from fear completely. There is no residual. There's nothing to be afraid of at all when you once you've completely trusted myself. And I got to that because I had second guessed myself and second guessed myself. That left me a place where I thought, why am I second guessing anything? Because if I second guess something, it's because I think that I'm going to be wrong, and boy, that just opened up more confusion and less understanding. Or it didn't. Or well, anyway, I had to do it because I had to figure out that I was not understanding. Where you know what I mean. The whole, yeah, like there's no second guessing anymore. That's just not gonna. That's not happening anymore. Just as the old way of behaving is never going to happen again. So breaking out. I've broken out already, I'd say. But if there's a correction, it'll happen. Just sure of that.
You said something really that clicked in to another area that I do want to mention, and then I don't know if anyone it's related to what we're talking about, but it's with a different viewpoint. If we were to consider that all the stars that we can see in the sky when it's really lit up, we don't see that many stars these days because of clouds and smog and everything else. But let's just say there's a gazillion stars out there. That works. And what's happened over this many centuries that we have all been on this earth is that people who have studied the the stars, looked at them, found some insight by connecting certain stars to others in the same sense as connecting dots. And so they reduced it down to about 12 personalities, unless you go into other kinds of the use of stars for directions and so on. But let's just say there are 12 personalities. And if you connect certain stars, you get those personalities. Well, what does that mean? It means if the people have been born at a certain time, depending upon where the stars were at that time, then the way it was connected will probably point our attention to certain aspects of our personality that are similar to other people who have the same connected dots. But when we think about that, those dots have, or those personalities have a lot of different things. If we have a real problem that we're tend to be a weak person and we think now that we're a Taurus bull kind of person, then that may help us to do better. Or it may be that we just are weak and we're not really weak, which is a judgment word. We're just very pleasant to be around. We get along with people a little bit better. What I'm really getting at is, along with what you're saying, Andy, is we are free to reconnect the dots in the way that we really think is the best way to go. Once we do that, then we can make a judgment. Is this better or worse? And in doing that, we can add certain aspects to our own life experience that we wouldn't otherwise even venture into. Like right now, I've been an architect professionally all my life. Now I'm becoming a developer, which in some ways is the opposite, but it includes my skill as an architect that I've already developed, and it makes me being a developer in a it puts me as a developer in a much better place because why? I understand what the architect has to go through. So it a part of this is just staying alive, uh, being alive for a few more years and learning the perspectives that come from different people that we've interacted with. I wish everybody in the world could be just like you, Adriana. Wouldn't it be nice if everybody was just as friendly as you are, open as you are, smart as you are, and I might say,
Well, we
beautiful
all
as you?
are. We all are.
You're in trouble.
I'm
But
I'm nothing special from
bah, bah,
anybody.
bah, bah, you are. My point of
I mean, we are all like this. It's just
yeah,
that sometimes we get a little
we
bit
we
more
we're all good.
serious. And I get serious sometimes.
Okay.
So
Isn't
it's just that
Well,
everybody
you have
clearly,
the
perfect?
best
Bob,
part of me.
Isn't
Oh,
clearly,
everybody
Bob,
just
Bob
perfect as
really
they are?
appreciates. He
okay.
appreciates you so much, Adriana,
Um,
and I think that that's wonderful. That you bring him such joy and clarity and something. It's the energy that he's appreciating so much in his life. So
Thank you.
that's
Thank you. Yeah.
yeah, that is
I
special
have
to
been told
him,
that
and
I should
that's.
say thank you instead of sorry. That's something that Lee has
We
been
all understood what you were
teaching me.
saying, but yes, yep. I don't know. I'm speaking for Bob, but I know that I've been like, I feel like I feel the energy, how that's been here since I've been here. You know what I mean? So I've picked up on that, and we do have different people in our lives. So it's again, it's about a person. We do have some expression that is similar to other the 12 ways of expressing, I guess. And I know that there's all little facets of it as well that come into play. But the general basic idea is some of these personalities do actually hear other personalities more clearly, you know, and others that where we're working on things that we think are like where we think we're weak. It's not really weakness. It's actually no experience or not very much experience in the area. And then usually those are the people that we're not we may not seem to get along with or as well or understand as well or listen to as well. However, once we do, we start mastering something more. But I think that whatever it is, he's definitely picked up on an energy that's he's appreciating. So I think that's
of course.
Thank you.
And it,
Tamara wanted something. Sorry, it's just that Tamara raised her hand a while ago and I
yeah,
forgot to tell her that she
sure.
has her turn.
And yeah, um, go ahead, Tamara.
Go ahead, Bob. No, I just wanted to. You said my name before, and you sort of woke me up a little. I mean, I was sort of listening, but not in a speaking, listening kind of
So,
way. And then anyway, uh, but yeah, this is the picture I wanted to put up, and this is not the picture I did in before. And then I'm very lazy around the picture thing, not like Andy, who seems to change her picture every day. But
Your picture is beautiful. I love
thank
it.
you. Thank you. But uh Andy, it sounds like you just got rid of your I'm not good enough wound, and you're fully just feeling like you are wonderful as you are, as of course you are. And I'm not sure that that has anything to do with the failings of astrology or not, but I can see,
Well, no,
I
but
could think of that, Bob. But
Mm.
yeah, no, I think astrology is a lot more complex than the 12 signs, but so that's my random input on this.
yeah, I appreciate it. Here's what's happening to me. I'm living experientially and vicariously, and I'm looking at the big picture, and whenever I think I see the flaw or the misunderstanding, not the flaw, the misunderstanding, I'm intrigued enough to go there. It doesn't scare me, and it's okay if it's not some, for me to know. I mean, I know, I'm just not experienced in that area, and that area for me has been learning to work with other people, like even my physical, my work, that my job that I do. It's been challenging because I've never done it. I've always been my own, I've always been self-led and what have you, but there's such a uh, I need to do this. I mean, not I need. Yes, I need. I'm gonna. Let me see. I need to understand how to do this. So this is, and it's happening, and it doesn't look like it's happening because my assistant and I just parted last week, and I have a new assistant today. So in the middle of the night, about uh, 2 a.m. or whatever, I was like, look at this is definitely something that I want to go into today with a deeper understanding, a deeper introspect here about it. And I am. And it all happened. I mean, like a huge pivotal moment. They happen every day lately, yes. Happened where I've decided that I looked at the patterns that were happening and it was less of a pattern than it used to be when I'm talking about as one to work with a partner or not a partner. I keep wanting to call it a partner, but to be honest with you, we have roles and it's not about a partner. She's an assistant. When I worked, so since I never really did that, or let's say I didn't even do that well, or didn't even accept it in, this was the first time I accepted a job where I would have an assistant, and I see such a beautiful benefit, and I realized it was part of my journey to learn how to work with others. So having said that, it's not that it failed. It actually taught me some wonderful lessons about not becoming a people pleaser and not second guessing. I have to call the shots. I'm the assistant assists me to make everything flow better and the patient get the proper attention. And I am ready to be the leader and call the shots now, where nothing to do with thinking I'm better. It's a role that I didn't know how to play. So I'm taking that role now, and everybody's going to feel better because the assistant doesn't want to actually does not want that. It's not that they don't want that role. It's not their role. They don't want to take their role and my role, right? So there it is, and yeah, and there's a whole different energy. Still, I'm a really loving, caring person, but I was people pleasing. I wanted to be liked, and it's not even about being liked now. It has nothing to do with it. It just has to do with knowing that we're all here growing with each other, and there's no wrong or right way to do it. And if there's stands to be a correction, it will happen. In my understanding, perfect timing. You know what I mean? So um, yeah, there's been some really, I think, a really great understanding that's happened here about something I've been working on.
Well, I guess we all benefit from that. And I'm very glad to have you here every single morning. Thank you.
I can totally relate to that experience. Yeah, thank you for sharing. I think it's very liberating when you sort of stop look. I mean, I don't know. You said you were always self-led, so for me, it was sort of like just stop looking to other people for validation or for confirmation that I'm okay, or yeah. So for me, I guess in the past, I've had like a lot of sort of enmeshment and codependency and stuff like that. So really just trying to like put others first. Like spiritually, I justified it as like being selfless and putting others first and stuff like that, but I realized that I wasn't really taking myself into consideration. And um yeah, there's no way I was ever gonna get beyond ego as long as I was avoiding myself. So it's complicated, I guess. Yeah.
It's
It is
complicated because, well,
yeah.
let me say one other reason why it's been complicated, because I've been very codependent also. So it's about the roles that I was playing, I guess, and so to speak. And so now, so at work, yes, very very self-led, but at home, the home life was completely different, which thankfully now I've, and I can mesh them probably both together, but not really, because there's a role I play. That's what I'm getting paid for. So, yeah, it's interesting, but it's that dual, but I'm no longer willing to play. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have to be the one that's doing this job. This is my role. This is the role they gave me. They told me these are my duties. And I wasn't taking my duties because I was trying, to well, see, and there was a codependence there still. Oh, wow. Wow. Thank you for saying all that, because now I just see where I was. Well, see, I see what I was doing. I was still had some residual belief that I had to be, that I had to get along, that this person was my partner, and that in the sense that I was kind of leaning on them. I don't Yeah, let me contemplate this a bit more, but there's something here that, you know yeah, there's something here for me. There's more. There's
Well,
always more.
Andy, you're going to have you have to make decisions.
Yeah, you're
You're
right. I'm not
also
going to second guess. Yeah.
you're also playing a role. So in your role, you have to make decisions which someone else may or may not like, but you don't have to worry about whether they like the decisions that you're supposed to make in your role. But that doesn't mean that you have to be caustic or bullying, because you have a right to in your new position. And that's where that can go wrong. So I
Yeah,
think
no,
it's
that won't
it's
go wrong though. I know
I
what you
know it.
mean.
I know it won't.
Yeah.
Also, in the biggest picture, it's like we're becoming a really good actor. There are some people in the movies, you can watch them how they develop over years, and they get deeper and deeper, and they can get better and better in their ability to act and understand that, to play other characters. And when they do, a good actor is someone who can play a terribly mean person, but also play a wonderful person and be convincing at the same time. Because what that does is it answers to the original clarion call, da 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 da, know thyself. Every one of us has all of the things we need to excel in what we do and to work well with other people. We all have that ability, but some of us can play the piano very well. Some of us can't. Some of us can't even hear the difference between notes. And you can go to whether we see well, all of those things. We have a million bazillion dots to connect, and ultimately we find those connectivities that just work better for us and give us our own personally figured out ways of doing things best. If Lee is in my house at a certain time and something has to be fixed, I'm always going to let Lee do it because he can fix anything in my mind. However, since he's not here all the time, I get to make judgments. Do I throw this out and buy another one, or do I try and fix it? And so many things depend, because we're like billiard balls also. The stars don't necessarily stay where we want them to be. That's what makes this big life puzzling, and what makes Course in Miracles simplifying because it starts to simplify and say, these are the things to focus on for your benefit. Those things are not really stuff for you to get involved in. It's not going to teach you something. And we are here to learn, as Tom always says. Now, here I am talking once
It's
again
funny
too much.
because your son also knows how to fix hearts. He knows how to fix hearts.
Yes, he does. He does. And he does that very well. Kayam, you are up on the stage, but you haven't had a chance because we're just talking too much. Would you like to contribute something?
Sure. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Good morning, Kayam. Did you shower already?
Yes, I did. All right. So, what I initially wanted to say was on the topic of what Andy was talking about, and that is accepting that accepting the idea that you might not know something, and the course talks about it in chapter 5. Um, chapter 5. I don't even have my book. It's chapter.
Don't worry, my friend.
Yeah, what I do is I just go on Google. So chapter 5, section 7, and there's a prayer. I could just post it in the chat. Um, and it's pretty good at making you realize that it's okay to not know. Oh, Safari. I guess it's not pasting. Can I read it or no?
Of course, my friend.
Sure,
Of
sure.
course, do it.
Sure. So it says, I must have decided wrongly because, yeah, okay, this is where it starts. I must have decided wrongly because I am not at peace. Meaning, when you're not happy, you're wrong with that. That's what that means. I made the decision myself because I can also decide otherwise. I want to decide otherwise because I want to be at peace. I do not feel guilty because the Holy Spirit will undo all the consequences of my wrong decision if I will let Him. I choose to let Him by allowing Him to decide God for me. And that's what lesson 155 is I will step back and let Him lead the way. Let love lead the way, let spirit lead the way, because you know I mean, this is like in all philosophies, there's always this idea of I know nothing, right? Because you have to empty yourself in order to let the new things come in, right? So because of all the conditioning that we've accepted from the world, we need to unlearn and decondition ourselves, let those things rise up, and you know we can realize and accept and investigate and nurture those feelings and things, but it's important not to give too much attachment to those thought forms and things like that. And I think I was gonna say something else from the course, but I like this part. I'm done speaking.
I think you're right on target, but we do need to be open to new ways of looking at everything. Depending upon what our upbringing was, we may have to dump out a whole lot of crap, or we may have a lot of things going for us if they blend well with the new directions being suggested. We don't have to get rid of all the crap. We can keep some of it. And we're allowed to make those judgments. And if we make a judgment that doesn't work, then we can choose again. I love the prayer that you just read, because That's the thing, that no matter what we do, we can try out something that may not even seem right. And then we find out it wasn't right after all. And then we can learn to trust the thought that said, that wasn't right for me to do that. Next time, you can trust it and not have to go down that road again. So it just makes us smarter in being able to follow a path that works really well. The best part about it is really about getting rid of the fear. And that's what the end of that prayer says. Even if I choose wrong, I know that the Holy Spirit is there to correct my mistakes. So I can take a chance when I'm not sure. There's no fear anymore. That to me is the greatest statement here, that we're going to choose love over fear. And that's the only choice, right? So good, good talking there, Kayem.
You,
How do you pronounce your name? Is it Kayem or Kayem?
um,
I'm
well, for
nobody else.
English speakers, I don't really have a particular preference because I just let people say whatever because most of the time it's incorrect, so it doesn't matter.
Okay. There's
But I was going to say that um, that's the miracle, Andy. The miracle is is the little willingness to even question yourself, is to have the to step back and be like, hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there one of the things it says in the course, there is another way of looking at this, right? There's always another way of looking at it, because if you're not happy, you're wrong, and that means there's another way of looking at it. And God knows the way, but we don't, most of the time. And the second thing I actually came to my memory, and it's actually another prayer, but I mean I can just say where it's from. It's in the I mean I can say it if you want, but it's in chapter 14, section 2, the happy learner, right? Because the course talks about how to learn, the conditions to even learn in, you know, how to live, right? Because this book is a foundation for inner peace. That's what the foundation is called, foundation for inner peace. So this is just a foundation to always go back to. When something's going wrong, I just go to the course. Anything is happening in my mind, I go to the course. I just go back to the course. And it doesn't matter if it's the course, or if it's the Bible, or if it's astrology, or if it's the Quran, or if it's the Vedas. It's a course, and there's only one course. And the truth is true, and that's what the first sentence of the prayer is. The truth is true, nothing else matters, nothing else is real, and everything beside it is not there. And I mean, that's what it says in the beginning of the course, right? Because this book, all it does is repeat itself over and over and over again. All it is saying is one thing: that love is real and fear is unreal. But our this is a lifelong process, like you guys always talk about. So it says, let me make the one distinction for you that you cannot make but need to learn. Your faith in nothing is deceiving you. Anything. Offer your faith to me, and I will place it gently in the holy place where it belongs. You will find no deception there, but only the simple truth, and you will love it because you will understand it. So I mean, and I'm trying to understand, like, there's always people who like to learn, you know, like if you're in an academic setting or something, or where there's dialogue going on about particular topic, there's always like this underlying understanding between everybody where it's like, okay, I might be wrong, but the textbook has the answer. Like, there's always like a source of truth. But in this world, there's a lot of subjectivity and a lot of duality and a lot of most people don't even think there is an objective truth to begin with, so it's like there's conditions for learning, and then like you're saying, there's a play, right? This is we're in a dream right now, so it's like you can't really be a complete agent of free will and just do whatever you want, because if everybody was doing whatever they wanted, the whole world would be in chaos. So it's like about just relaxing and like letting the nature of reality unravel, really, um and just chilling out for the most part.
There's like a phantom, like at some point we realized that we've been fighting a phantom. There's really
Well,
been
that's what
like,
the course says. It's the nightmare is over, right? It's a nightmare. It's like you woke up from a nightmare, and then you're like, oh. And then that sense of relief you get where you thought
oh
you
yeah,
were gonna die, but then you wake up and you're alive. That's what happens when that's fear. That's what it is.
yeah
I
it is,
I
and
hope you continue to come on up on the stage because I really enjoyed listening to you, and I picked up a couple of points, and I thought you, from one thing you said, it occurred to me that really the various zodiac signs, to use that particular story or short story, what changes is not the shape or the form or even the way the dots are connected. What changes is our viewpoint. My viewpoint moves and I consider other things if I allow it to. And I look at other things. I look at some others, maybe a different zodiac sign, and say, I'd like to be more like that. Now, can we do that? Well, some people would say yes, some would say no, and I don't really care what they say. It's up to me to decide what direction I'm to go in based upon the fundamental basic truths, which you said very well, Chaim. So I'm glad you did. I'm just really pleased with. I'm glad that I hung around for a while because I liked your viewpoints, and I hope more and more people will come on up. Um, I think there's enough of us with enough divergent opinions that, or if you think they're all the same and you have a better way, come let us know. I like playing with it to figure out the best path. So thanks for talking.
well, can I add one more
I got
thing
something.
to this?
No, you're not
Um,
allowed. Like that would do
you knew
any
that was
good,
going to
right?
happen, didn't you? But
Go for it.
I can kick him if I need to. Don't you worry, Andy. Go for it.
all right. Well, when Bob was saying, the thing is, we can choose, and then we can re-choose, and when we think we did something wrong. But even that thinking that we did something wrong from the start is obviously was right, because it only got us to where we could choose again.
Well, the thing is, you can't think of in the sense of losing. There's no such thing as losing. That's the problem. There's no such thing as
There's
wasting
no
time.
gain either. It's like it's a wash. It's
Yeah, it's
really the
just
No
phantom.
remembering.
matter what, our judgments are wrong. No matter what, our judgments
We are
are
just
wrong.
remembering.
Yeah.
Because delay is just unnecessary pain, right? So time is a tool to so it's just a lesson you're learning. It's not like if something happens, like my tire pops, right? The way I look at it is, okay, let's go into this adventure of the tire popping. Let's go into the journey of trying to fix the tire. There's no such thing as, oh, my tire, this, that, or the other. I gotta pay this, that. I gotta skip this job. I gotta do this. I
You
gotta
got
do
an
that.
evil tire.
It's just like, okay, let's go fix the tire. Let's go fix the tire. Boom. Let's go do the next thing. Boom, boom, boom. Let's be fun and let's be happy. Let's do it.
Yeah, and let's
That's
see what came out of it, right? Like, what was the adventure? What
Yeah,
was
because then when you get
the
stuck up on the
understanding?
losing, you're gonna be stuck in your head.
And it seems like there's the ego would say, "Oh, what an inconvenience," but really the truth is, and it's when we're fighting a phantom again, and it's like,
Because we're trying to make something out of nothing,
mm-hmm,
right? That's
yeah,
the
But
thing.
even if you do get stuck on it, it's still okay.
Yeah, it's still perfect. It was perfect for the moment.
No
Right.
problem.
That's right.
No
So
matter
it's just
what.
an understanding that we're really doing here. It's not a gain. It's not a loss. It's just a greater
It's
understanding.
just an experience, really. Of it's just an experience inside of your awareness.
Yeah, you're
But there's only one
experiencing the light
awareness.
as a rainbow. We are all experiencing the light as a rainbow. So we always feel we will always feel like something is missing, but nothing has been missing because the rainbow comes from the light. It's just that you are perceiving it in a like in a partial way, you know. So we are all experiencing the rainbow in feelings, in colors, in forms, in shapes, in genders, in political point of views, food, everything. So it's funny. And I'm super glad to have these sessions. I don't know what is it about today, but I feel really at peace this morning. I feel really at peace. So I thank you, all of you. And I will have to, well, Lee's coming back home and I have to start working right now. But if you all want to keep going with the conversation, I will be holding the space for a moment longer. And I'm going to make, no, he left. He left, so I'm going to hold the space if you want to keep talking. I wish you all a beautiful Monday. And let's keep having these sessions all days for the rest of this year with this kind words and joyful conversations. Tomorrow we will be here at 6:30 again. Wish you all a happy week.
About the lesson today, we all are essential. We all are absolutely essential in every perception we have. So, yeah.
Have a great day. Thank you. Talk to you tomorrow.
Create a great day. Namaste.
Namaste,
Have a great
Tom.
one, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, Andy. Big hugs. Beautiful day to you too.
You too. Thank you.